So with this hookup, we received a letter nominating this young man named Peter who is struggling with ADHD. This letter really moved me. Struggling, persevering, going through all kinds of anxiety, kind of hyper, a lot of the same things that I actually went through when I was a kid. And I know there's a lot of young kids out there that struggle with ADHD. So I decided that Peter, well, he needed a hookup.
Peter's a great kid. He's a great kid. He's smart and he's fun and energetic and really hardworking. He's the kind of kid that can walk into a room and just make a funny face and make everybody laugh. He's really a trip. He's really fun. But he does have ADHD, and that's really challenging for all of us in the house. It affects all of our lives, and of course it's hardest for him.
Peter has a lot of energy. He's sweet, and he has his little issues, and he's battling to overcome them, and I think he really is overcoming his issues.
For everybody it's different, and there are different types of ADHD, and Peter actually has all of the types of ADHD combined, along with some of the other things that go with ADHD. And basically it makes it very hard for him to do his schoolwork, to keep up with the rest of his grade. When he goes to school, it's such an effort for him to just sit in his seat and pay attention that it's as if he ran a marathon, and by the time he comes home, he's just mentally exhausted. But he's always really liked sports, and that's been a great outlet for him. He's played every sport I can think of, but in recent years, he just really loved baseball. Last fall, the stress and the pressure from all his schoolwork really got to him, and he started having terrible stomach pains. And sometimes they'd be so bad he would lay on the kitchen floor unable to get up. And he started missing his practices and his games, and eventually he realized that he had to quit the team because it wasn't really fair to them. But fortunately, he does have this love of the Yankees, and Derek Jeter's his favorite player, so he gets to still watch sports, and that's good for him.
Jeter's a great role model for everybody, I guess, you know? So I'm not surprised that my son's chosen him as somebody to look at and to try to emulate. I'm very proud of him for picking Derek and showing an interest in somebody was very capable.
I love that Peter picked Derek Jeter as his role model to help him persevere through his issues with ADHD. I went to the Goldberg home while Peter was at work with his dad, and I started with a makeover of his room. Then I sat the Goldberg family down to explain some of the surprises we had in store. You know, we really wanted to do something special for Peter. So what we did is, and I probably took it on, having two kids myself, we removed some of his, he probably is ready for a transition anyway.
Yeah.
And so we kind of made that happen up there, as far as really converting that room into a complete Yankee / Derek Jeter combine, you know. So we've converted this hookup, really made his room just a lot more comfortable, a lot more Yankee driven, from as much as A to Z as we could. So it'll be definitely an uplift for him, you know, to really have all that positive energy. We try to find photos that have a lot of energy. So as part of the hookup also, what we're going to do is we're going to surprise Peter with David Cohn is here.
There he is. Hi. Thank you for coming.
Nice to meet you. It's a pleasure.
Nice to meet you. I'm Laura. This is Amanda and Robert.
Robert, nice to meet you
Well,
too.
that's wonderful. Thank you so much for everything you've done. We really appreciate it. He's a kid that's really struggling, and this is really going to lift his spirits and push him to work even harder.
He's going to have a hookup now.
Yeah,
This is the guy who hooks it up. So
yes,
without a doubt,
absolutely.
State of the art.
Wonderful. Such a great thing.
We want it to be a couple weeks that Peter remembers, you know, to be able to meet a pitching great like David, what he's accomplished, maybe go up to the yes booth, and then the ultimate surprise, which David's going to spring on him. It's going to be pretty cool.
Wow, he will be so thrilled.
It's going to be a hookup that he'll remember for a long
Absolutely.
time. Finally, it was time for Peter to come home from work with his dad.
Who are you?
I think we stunned him.
Come on in, Peter. What's up, Peter? Peter.
We introduced ourselves to Peter and his dad, and quickly led him to his new Jeterized and Steinerized room.
Whoa! Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh my god!
And we weren't done yet.
Brandon will take you through all the items, but I also want to invite you to Yankee Stadium as my guest. Sort of as backstage passes. I'm going to take you through the stadium, give you a tour. Yes. Take you up to the broadcast booth where I do the games for the Yes Network. Show you behind the scenes.
Thanks so much.
Yeah, give you a look at kind of like, you know, exactly like you could only get from a backstage pass. And then also, there's something else.
Yeah, what's something else?
Derek Jeter's going to meet you.
Are you kidding?
No, I'm not.
I think a dream come true.
Not the cutout, the real thing.
We've already talked to Derek. He's agreed. He's heard your story about some of the problems you've had, and we were all wanting to support you and give you a lift.
I went over the new items in his room.
It's a dirt thing. That's the number of how many hits he got.
Exactly, and the dirt is from the actual stadium. And we, of course, hooked up Peter and his stepdad, who nominated him, with a VIP trip to Yankee Stadium, the booth, and last but not least, a chance for Peter to meet his idol, the great Derek Jeter. The Goldberg family was also nice enough to allow me to sit down in their living room and talk with perfect game pitcher David Cohn. David, was that a great hookup or what? And have you ever seen such a huge Derek Jeter fan?
Well, I'm sure there's a lot of them out there, but I don't know if there's any bigger than Peter. I mean, it was just remarkable to see the look on his face when he walked into that room, and the genuine emotion that he showed, and the surprise, and just to see somebody speechless like that just is worth everything.
It's nice for him to have his day, you know, the focus on him, and then obviously we'll continue it on throughout the rest of the hookups. You've always done a bunch off the field, but also you're a father, you're a parent. What's that like? What's going on with that?
It's great. You know, it's definitely, it's keeping me young, that's for sure. You know, I got a little bit of a late start on parenthood, and, you know, my advice has always been the same to Derek Jeter, for that matter, because I know he also wants to have a family in his future after he gets out of the game. And I kind of use George Brett, the great George Brett, as a prototype. He did the same thing. Played till he was 40 years old, retired, got married, had 3 kids, and really has enjoyed fatherhood. And that's kind of me now. You know, I've got youngsters, and I'm pretty happy about it, and it keeps me young. And my youngest, Sammy's doing very well. He's 2.5 years old, and he's just a joy to be around.
So it's almost like a double header now. You got, you know, as far as your life and career, you're in another completely new life.
It is a new life. It really is. It makes me realize what I missed out on all those years. And baseball's a hard life. It's a very one-dimensional life when you're a professional player, and you kind of get consumed with keeping the blinders on and performing on the field, and the radical schedule, grueling schedule that major league players have to face. And you know, I understand now that there's a nice part to the family life, having been so one-dimensional all those years as a player, and now post-career being able to enjoy family life.